Hey guys, and welcome back to my Brand Slam week on e.l.f. Cosmetics. Today is going to be a tutorial, review, and swatch video on the new e.l.f. Rose Gold Sunset Eyeshadow Palette. e.l.f. recently released this palette. They do have another Rose Gold eyeshadow palette that is more neutral shades and more rosy tones rather than these sunset warmer tones. I'm gonna start off with a tutorial and then I will leave timestamps down below for when the review starts and also when the swatches are. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you for watching and let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna start by priming my eyelids with the Wet n Wild Photofocus concealer, and then I'm going to blend that in with the NYX Beauty sponge. Then I'm going to dip into the lightest matte shade from the palette. This is a really nice rosy pink shade, perfect for your crease and your transition shade. So I'm going to take this fluffy blending brush and I'm just going to blend this color into my crease and up towards my brow bone. Then I'm taking the second deepest matte shade. It's like a burgundy browny purple shade, and with this fluffy brush I'm going to pack this color on into the outer corner of my lid. I wanted to add some smokiness to this look, so I'm really not being precise with that shade at all. Then I'm going to do a semi-cut crease. It's not really a cut crease. I was just using that same concealer to kind of help make the shimmer shade that I'm going to use pop a little bit more on top. So I'm only going to apply this concealer to the inner half of my lid. Then I'm going to take the second lightest shimmer shade and with my finger I'm going to apply this right on top of that concealer. This is a very soft champagne. It's not really sparkly or metallic. It's just a really soft shimmer shade. I'm just going to blend the edges with that same matte shade we used earlier. Then I'm going to use a small detailed crease brush from e.l.f. and that rosy shade again just to smooth out the edges. Then I'm going to make it even more smoky by adding the deepest matte shade with that same small detailed crease brush, and I'm going to smoke out the outer corner of my lid, give it that more of that cat eye smoky effect. And then I'm going to blend everything out with that same fluffy blending brush we were using earlier. For the inner corner pop, I'm using the lightest shimmer shade. It's just a really nice pale gold, and that's pretty much all I'm going to do with the upper lid. I'm going to prime my face with the e.l.f. Illuminating Primer Mist, and then for foundation today I'm using the Covergirl TruBlend Matte Made Foundation. This is in the shade M10. I really like this foundation. It sits really well on my skin and I've just been loving it recently. For concealer, I'm using that same concealer we used on my lids, the Wet n Wild Photofocus concealer in the shade, I'm pretty sure this is in the shade Light Medium Beige. I'm just going to use that same NYX sponge to blend it out. And then for my under eye setting powder, I'm using the Wet n Wild Photofocus pressed powder in the shade Warm Light. I'm using a lot of Wet n Wild Photofocus in this tutorial, I just realized. I'm going to use that same Photofocus powder but in the shade Warm Beige to set the rest of my face. Going back to the eyes, I'm taking that same rosy transition shade and the small detailed crease brush. I'm just going to start smoking out my lower lash line. Then I'm dipping into that burgundy plummy shade and doing the exact same thing, smoking out that lower lash line. Then I'm going to tightline and line my waterline with the Annabelle waterproof eyeliner. And to set that eyeliner in place, I'm taking the e.l.f. pencil brush with the deepest matte shade, just to make sure it doesn't stray throughout the day. Curling my eyelashes and applying the mascara, which is the Essence Extreme Volume and Curl with the Covergirl Lash Primer. Then I'm going to use this Covergirl Serving Sculpt face palette for my entire face, starting with the bronzer. This is the e.l.f. stippling brush, by the way. And then I'm going to warm up my cheeks with the peachy blush from the palette. I really like this palette. It's such a good formula and the shades are amazing. I'm going to set my face with the e.l.f. Hydrating Coconut Mist. and then apply my lipstick, which is the Rimmel Moisture Renew lipstick in the shade Nude and the City. Then I'm going to take the highlighter from that face trio and I'm going to highlight all the usual areas of my face. This is the Real Techniques setting brush. And then I'm going to just make my lips a little bit more glossy with this e.l.f. lip gloss. It's just like a clear lip gloss. And that completes the look. It came out a lot more rosy and mauve-y than I predicted. I thought I would end up doing my typical cranberry smoky eye, which I always end up doing when I have these types of shadows, but I decided to do something a little bit different, so I hope you guys enjoyed this look. If you're at this portion of the video, that means you're here for the review on the new e.l.f. Rose Gold Sunset Eyeshadow Palette. Right off the bat, I want to tell you guys that this palette is so much better than their original Rose Gold eyeshadow palette. I found the first Rose Gold was just really hard to work with. The metallics in that one were super crumbly and flaky, and they really needed a sticky base in order to like stay on your lids. I also thought there weren't enough matte shades in that palette, and then the matte shades that they did offer were kind of similar in tone, so there wasn't enough variety across the board, and I just didn't like that original palette. This palette, I was hesitant to get it because I kept thinking, I didn't like the first one, why would I like this one? It's probably the same formulas, but it's actually a lot better in formulation than the original. The mattes are very similar to the mattes in the Matte for Matte eyeshadow palettes that e.l.f. has. They're very soft and they're very smooth and they feel like butter when you swatch them. When you apply them to your lids, they just blend super effortlessly. They're very easy to work with. They're really high quality matte shadows. The shimmers in here, I've only used 2 of the shimmers. I've used these first 2 here, but they are completely different than the original Rose Gold palette. These shimmer shades aren't chunky, they don't feel flaky, they feel like soft, creamy metallic shades. They're maybe a little bit drier than other brands like Makeup Revolution's metallic shades are very smooth and very creamy, whereas these ones are a little bit drier than that, but they're still not as bad as the original palette. They're not super foiled or anything, but they do have a nice shine. They didn't flake off, they didn't crumble on my lids. They're just a much better formulation. If you weren't a fan of the first one, you might be a fan of this one. I think overall it's a better palette. As for the color selection, I also like this one more. I think you get more variety, you get some deeper tones. I get a nice palette of mattes. You get this one which is more rosy, this one which is more brown, but these both could work as transition shades. Then you get a nice deeper, almost like a reddish brown, and then a nice deep brown here. Color selection of the mattes is a lot better in my opinion. I also like the metallic shades. You get your really pretty cranberry, this beautiful copper shade, a kind of like taupey gold, a greenish bronze shade, and then the one that I applied on my lid today, which is kind of like, it's almost like a champagne rose gold, and then this one which is like a pale gold. The selection of metallics is really nice. You can create so many different looks with this, and I feel like this would be such a nice palette for the summertime. Also, what I like about this is I feel like this palette isn't duping anything. A lot of the times, drugstore brands are releasing palettes and they're just dupes of high-end palettes, which isn't a bad thing. I love affordable dupes because I don't buy the high-end version of things. I do appreciate when drugstores make affordable options for higher-end products, but it's so nice when they come up with something that's just original. This is a really unique product in the drugstore and amongst higher-end eyeshadow palettes as well. I'm going to insert a clip of the swatches right now so you guys can see what they look like. So as you can tell, the metallics are so smooth. They look really foiled when you swatch them, so I think if you build them up on your eyes, you'd be able to get that same foiled look effect, or even if you wet your brush before applying them. Mattes as well, they're super nicely pigmented, they're super soft, and I love that the colors are different enough and vary enough in tones to make a lot of different looks possible. Overall, I really like this palette. I think it is stunning, and I really do think it's one of the best e.l.f. palettes that I've ever purchased, so I really like it. I feel like I'm going to be reaching for this a ton. I'm going to toss this into my everyday makeup drawer because I feel like I'm going to be reaching for this one more often, especially in the summer. These tones are just perfect for the summertime. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!